The Texas House voted Tuesday to send law enforcement after Democratic legislators who left the state to block the chamber from passing restrictive voting legislation, and issue warrants for their arrest if necessary, a measure that will likely have little effect while the lawmakers remain out of state, but could be used to eventually pass the legislation whenever they return. The Texas Senate has not lost its quorum even though 8 lawmakers fled the state with their House counterparts, and the chamber approved the voting bill Tuesday in an 18-4 vote that broke along party lines. Even though the legislation has passed the Senate, however, it still cannot move forward and become law as long as the House lacks a quorum. This is not a vacation, Texas State Representative Trey Martinez Fischer told the Post Monday about lawmakers' trip to D.C. "I don't want a single U.S. senator to go home for the August recess thinking that everything is completely fine with voting rights in America. We're here to present the case that it is not." Texas Democrats previously blocked the legislature from passing its restrictive voting bill in May, as lawmakers staged a walkout that left the chamber without the quorum it needed to pass the bill before a midnight deadline. The sweeping voting legislation being considered in Texas would impose such restrictions as banning drive-through voting and 24-hour voting, voter identification requirements for absentee ballots and bans on sending voters absentee ballots unsolicited, among other measures. The Texas bill is part of a broader nationwide effort by Republican state lawmakers to enact new voting restrictions in the wake of the 2020 election, and new laws have already been passed in states like Georgia, Florida and Arizona. President Joe Biden decried the new wave of voting restrictions Tuesday as the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War, and Congress is considering legislation that could require states like Texas to get federal approval before changing their voting laws, though that legislation is a long shot to pass as Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has opposed it. Texas lawmakers, dueling 1,300 miles apart, map out next voting moves. New York Times, Texas Democrats planning to flee to D.C. to block GOP-backed voting restrictions. Forbes, Texas GOP could soon pass voting restrictions as Abbott announces bill for special session. Forbes, what's in the new voting restriction legislation introduced in the Texas House and Senate. Texas Tribune.